Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show. This is Todd Durkin, and you have one heck of a humdinger today. That's right, I said humdinger because buckle up straps when I talk about an episode that's going to change your mindset. Eddie Hertzman's going to bring the heat today. And I don't know if this is your first time listening in, it's your 100th time, or maybe you've listened to all 369 episodes of the Impact Show. I want to say thank you. Thank you for giving me your ears, listening into our shows. I always strive to provide maximum motivation and inspiration. And it's all about mindset, heart set, soul set, and your health set. And that's what the Impact Show is all about, is impacting you personally and professionally so that you can be the best version of you. How does that sound? Does that fire you up? Good. So just a couple quick things before we drop into today's show. I do want to thank all of you for your amazing comments and posts on my new book called True Strength. So many comments have come through, and those of you who are posting, thank you, thank you, thank you. I knew it would get to some of you, but I wasn't expecting the amount of feedback and comments at the depth. And let me tell you what, I thank you for sharing both publicly and privately with your message to me. I've received all of them. I thank you for each and every one of them. I can't say thank you enough to you for taking the time out to get the book, read the book, and then share with me your takeaways. Please, if there's someone that you know who can benefit from the book, gift it to them. Talk to them about the book. I do believe that it's going to save some lives and change some lives. Hey, listen, we all have ups, we all have downs, and True Strength really just highlights keep going in the good and the bad, keep moving forward. That's how winning's done. So go get the book at Amazon. Go to Amazon.com, get True Strength, and I truly believe that you are going to benefit from the book. Speaking of True Strength and the book, I have a book tour coming up. I hear the round of applause. Let's go, T. Where are we going? This is one heck of a book tour. I feel like I'm I don't know if it's Def Leppard, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen going on tour. I'm not going to go new school with all that, but take a listen to some of the places I'm going to starting here, well, as this drops tomorrow night. Whitefish, Montana, July 30th, Whitefish, Montana. I love Whitefish. I love Montana. I can't wait to be back in Montana. July 30th, I'll be in Toronto, Canada, August 11th. Providence, Rhode Island, August 22nd. August 26th, Corning, New York. Corning, Horseheads, Ithaca, New York area. End of August, I'll be in Washington, D.C., the Georgetown area. Yeah, just mark your calendar then. And then September, I got Frederick, Maryland, Baltimore, Charlotte, Huntington Beach, California, Boston, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, all in September. Yeah, I'm going on tour. The Impact Bus is going on tour, and I can't wait. October, I got Somerville, South Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, Davidson, North Carolina, Lake Norman, Charlotte, Davidson. That's right. In October, and then November, Chicago, the Valparaiso, Indiana, and Chicago area. I'll be there. All you got to do, go over to my Instagram, take a look on the link tree. I'm going to have all of these locations posted. If you're in the area or you want to be in one of those cities on the day, I'm going to do a talk, about a 45-minute talk on True Strength. And then I'm going to be doing a book signing and answering Q&A. I would love to see you, give you a high five, a big old hug, a bear hug, squeeze it up, press the flesh, and get you better. So come on out to one of the book signings. 15 cities in 3 months. 15 cities. I can't wait. Melanie's like, can you do this? I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been dying to do this. Can't wait to get out to the big cities and the small cities. And it's coming here quick, starting Whitefish, Montana. So mark the tape right there. Also, man, I'm loving all these announcements today and just hanging with you while you drink your coffee or get your workouts in. Is some big celebrations are in order. If you did not see, I recently posted on Facebook and Instagram. Folks, we did it. We did it. You and I did it. We just surpassed the 1 million download mark for the Todd Durkin Impact Show podcast. Round of applause to all of you out there. A million people. I was thinking about this on my walk this morning. I had the Jersey dog out. You know, we have these conversations. I'm like, Jersey, a million people have listened to us on the show. That's crazy. But let me tell you what, we're just getting started with the Impact Show, and I'm really, really excited for that. I want to say thank you again, whether this is show number 1 or show number 369. We are so thankful that you are tuning in to the show. Speaking of a million, I can't believe this, but August 19th is coming quick, just a few weeks from now. We're coming up to our 5-year anniversary of the Impact Show on August 19th. That means I have a very special edition. Heck, all the editions are special. This one's got some big news about the podcast. Always moving forward, always getting better and doing more for you, my loyal listeners. So August 19th, mark it now. Don't miss that episode. Many of you don't miss any episodes, but August 19th, it's our 5-year anniversary edition with the Impact Show. That's crazy. It was 5 years ago, 2019, that we got this bad boy started. So that being said, are you ready for today's show? Many of you know we just had the Impact Summit in LA. And last week I had Kelly Watson. You heard her interviewing me on stage from the show. Well, this week we're turning the table, and I'm not interviewing Kelly. That would be interesting. I'm actually going to be interviewing a gentleman named Eddie Hertzman. Eddie Hertzman. You're like, wait, do I know that name? Should I know that name? You're going to want to know this name afterwards because, well, let me read his bio so he gets a formal introduction. You're going to want to listen to this very unique and amazing episode where your mind is going to be blown by what Eddie has to say. Check it out. Eddie Hertzman, a serial entrepreneur who's launched multiple businesses across several industry verticals, including media, fitness, wellness, and sourcing. He's a subject matter expert who's become the voice for the industries he's served. An early stage investor in promising startups, he's contributed to their growth and value creation. His latest venture, Athletech News, is a response to the fitness industry's need for community, representation, and a seat at the table. Much like sourcing more than a decade ago, fitness and wellness has been a fragmented, undervalued, and underreported industry with little transparency into the robust investments occurring in the space or the dynamic leaders that drive these businesses. Athletech News is the answer to this need. Prior to Hertzman's latest adventure, by the way, you got to listen to this. Following several years on the ground as a supply chain executive, Hertzman founded Sourcing Journal in 2009. Today, Sourcing Journal is the world's largest trade publication devoted to sourcing and supply chain in the apparel and textiles industry. In 2017, Hertzman sold the company to Penske Media Group. In 2023, Hertzman left Penske to launch his next media enterprise, Athletech Media Group. And here we are, my friends. Check this out. Hertzman received a degree in economics from NYU and spent more than a decade working in top-level executive positions for major sourcing companies worldwide, including Synergies Worldwide and Pearl Global. He sits on many different boards and charities. My friends, this is going to be one heck of an interview that we had at the Impact Summit. And the good news is later this week, you're going to find that you can get all of the interviews. My team is scrambling like mad to make sure that we can get all of the interviews for you virtually if you would like to get all of them. We had like 15 different keynotes and 22 presenters. I'm just providing 2. Kelly Watson with me last week, and then now I'm interviewing Eddie Hertzman on this. And one other thing with Eddie Hertzman, guys, you'll love this. I had to bleep out some of the words. Eddie's a New Yorker, and I can get along with New Yorkers and Jerseyites. I love them. Love them. But they have a different vernacular sometimes. So Eddie likes to slip in some good old-fashioned cuss words every now and then. And I know I'm not perfect, and I can hang with the best of the sailors. But I also want to be respectful to everyone who listens to my show, including the many kids. Love y'all, kids. Eat your green beans and keep lifting and doing your push-ups. So I had to bleep out some of the words that you're going to hear Eddie. You'll be able to figure out what he's saying. Not a lot, but Eddie was very, very mindful of that, and he did one heck of a job. So that being said, I'm running it because Eddie Hertzman is a visionary, a leader, an influencer, and I think you're going to see he thinks differently than most, and I love that. He thinks different. I like being in the room with people who think different than me. There's a lot to be learned from people like that, and Eddie Hertzman is one of those guys. My friends, without further ado, let's go to the Impact Summit right now over in Los Angeles, California, and tune into the interview that I did with the one and the only Eddie Hertzman and Athletech News. Oh, and by the way, you all remember when I was over in New York City ringing the NASDAQ bell in early January? That's right. It was Eddie Hertzman's company, Athletech News, that was ringing the bell and invited me to come ring the bell at the NASDAQ in New York City. Let's go to Los Angeles right now and listen to the interview with Eddie Hertzman. Attention, all trainers, coaches, fit pros, and gym owners. I want to introduce you to something that's going to revolutionize the way you program and deliver your workouts at your gym. Hey, if you know me, I'm all about efficiency and getting the most out of your gym and life. If you find yourself doing low value and repetitive tasks when you could be spending more time getting even better results for your clients or your business, then stop for just a second and listen to this. I'm excited to tell you about CloudFit. It's a digital workout display system designed specifically for gyms, and then it's an absolute game changer. You got to highlight the CloudFit TV's features. Let me tell you about this. Let you create and display custom workouts. No more scribbling on old whiteboards. No, no, no. Not with CloudFit. You get to access a massive exercise library or simply upload your own. Stay on trend, easily build and add new workouts to keep your members constantly engaged. And let me tell you what, that's important to keep your members engaged. And branding. Everything is about your brand. So customize everything that you do. The CloudFit team likes to say, your business, your workouts, your way. Head over to cloudfit.tv. That's cloudfit.tv, and find out how CloudFit will work for your business no matter what your size. There's even a CloudFit app so you can manage everything from wherever you are. My friends, gyms all over the world are scaling their businesses with CloudFit, saving you time and money. These guys have nailed it. They even offer a free version with no time restrictions. That's zero cost, zero risk for you to get started. Check it out today, cloudfit.tv. Hey, so I'm honored to have Eddie Hertzman in the house today because Eddie and I have known each other since January 2nd, 2024. You all know I rang the bell back at the NASDAQ early this year. It's because Athletech News and Eddie Hertzman's company invited me to come out there. And I'm like, what the heck is this Athletech News that's come out of nowhere? And in forming the Impact Summit, I wanted to have some folks outside our traditional route because Eddie is a serial entrepreneur. You just heard his bio, and Eddie thinks differently. He's a disruptor. He's a disruptor in not just fitness and wellness, the title of our talk today or interview today, but in many different verticals, and you're going to get some thoughts and ideas of how an entrepreneur thinks because he's managing a large company now. He's got massive plans to create impact, not only within fitness and wellness, but other spaces as well. So without further ado, Eddie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Straight off a plane from New York City. And Eddie comes in, he's excited to be here today. And one thing I want to ask Eddie, just back up for a second. How did all this Athletech News happen? Step back, because it came out of nowhere. Now with 60,000 subscriber list and everything you're doing.
80,000.
60,000 is like 3 months ago, so it's already jumped. But how did all this happen?
You know, the story is, I could give you the short version or the long version, or how much time do we have? So the truth is, I really am not from this industry at all. I mean, I go to the gym maybe 4 or 5 days a week. That's my education in the fitness industry. When I started Sourcing Journal, I think it's 14, 15 years ago, I saw an underserved community of people, and really I was just frustrated. I was 26 years old, there was a cotton crisis going on, and none of my buyers knew that I couldn't hold the price for 24 hours. I remember being in Dhaka with the head of Fishman Tobin. I'm getting a phone call, hold on.
Yep, Fishman Tobin.
We'll call them back. So we got and this guy at breakfast, I say, if we don't close the deal now, tomorrow it'll be more expensive. He goes, kid, I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, I've been insulted a lot in my life. That stung a little bit differently. I went back to my hotel room. I bought sourcingjournal.com, started aggregating news, sending it out. Within 3 years, I was doing, I don't know, 700,000, 800,000 in my bedroom, and I said, okay, let me go at this, all in. Then I decide, I end up selling the business to Penske Media, which is an amazing education, because I got exposed to the varieties, the billboards, the Rolling Stones. This guy has bought the Golden Globe, South by Southwest. So I got to see under the hood how all these publications were working. Now, unfortunately, I don't come from a multi-billionaire family, so I have to build the businesses I want to start versus buy them. So while I was there, I really started thinking about what is the next white space. And for me, I think people always look for the biggest opportunity. And I think sometimes that's necessarily the right idea. I didn't understand. I was reading all this research. CB Insights did a report on At Home and Connected. This was probably 2019. And I'm Googling. I can't find a billboard, if you will, for this. There's no Bloomberg for fitness and wellness. So I go to Jay Penske and I say, let's do this. And his reaction is, I don't need another $10 million business. Now, I should say, originally that was like a little slap, because a $10 million business that makes $3 or $4 million a year where I come from is a lot of money. But I do work with a coach, and I know we'll probably talk about that. And I've learned is you got to remove the ego from that statement. When you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, $10 million is really immaterial. So I didn't take that as an insult. And so I paid no attention to it, and I just started. Then all my Jewish guilt started to happen, because I'm 2 years into this, and I'm like, Jay, I got to be honest, I'm doing this anyway. And he's like, truth, he offered me money to shut it down. I said I'm a few $100,000 in, he was gonna give me the money under the table to shut it down. Now, I've never said that publicly. So then the story gets better, and I think I'm telling part of the story because of the diversity of the audience and part of how this thing really got going. So for about 2 years I'm doing this thing. Now you gotta remember, I'm a president of a division, and I mean that with humility. I had 2 assistants flying business class. I was making very good money. I just got 100% of my earnout. I was going home every night and going into MailChimp and sending out an email to 2 people. So you say I came out of nowhere. For 2 years, I had a negative. And a lot of times people underestimate what they could do in a year, and they underestimate what they could do in 5 years. And do you think in my late 30s, I just turned 40, did I want to go home and log in the MailChimp every single night after putting in 12 hours and sending an email out to 100 people? The answer was no. But I knew I had something going. I was going to shut this thing down about 5 or 6 different times, and people kept calling, oh, could we be featured in this and be featured in this? Now, I'll tell you, compliments are all very nice, but you can't monetize, accolades. I can't take anyone to dinner tonight with, a great publication. But for whatever reason, I didn't give it up. Then I get a phone call from someone, it's a CEO of a very large company. Oh, I think you should write a story about us. Okay, I was flattered he called me. Then he goes, how are you building this thing? How are you growing this thing? I said, I'm self-funding, but I'm looking for money. I wasn't really looking for, really, maybe I'd be interested. Then we start having a conversation. I fly down to meet him. Now, make the whole presentation. We're on the phone, he goes, I gotta be honest. I feel guilty for you to leave your job. You're making good money. This is a long shot idea. Media is very tough. We have no problem investing, but it doesn't work out. What are you gonna do? I said to him, well, I already quit. I'm doing this with or without you. He goes, really? Well, yeah. Truth is, I didn't quit. He said, okay, within a week we had the paperwork, the money was wired into the account. Now the truth is, I have not yet told Jay that I was leaving. So now I had to go play that hand. The point is, some of this is luck, some of this is strategy. You don't get what you don't ask for. All of a sudden I was looking for money. So then I go to Jay, and what's important is, there's a good line that my coach always uses, a samurai must accept his death before he goes into war. Now, I had every intention to stay on, transition, I wanted to be chairman of the board, I wanted to consult. He could have said, you're getting no money back, sorry, I know we're not supposed to curse. And I was told in advance that I was not supposed to do that. So, I don't know how, I do curse, I don't know how anyone in the room would know that I do that, so I was very confused by those notes. But anyway, I worked with the coach on exactly what I needed to say to Jay. We could get into that. I'm giving you a very long-winded answer here. But it's essentially, he didn't want to invest, but he didn't want to stifle the entrepreneurial spirit. I stayed on. I helped find the replacement. He paid me every dollar he owed me, gave me every bonus he gave. He even made a contribution to my 401k 9 months after I left. So I left the last day. I left as if it was the first day I started, and I'm going to play golf with the president of the company next week in Michigan. Hopefully they'll buy this thing again. But anyway, it's a long, and then you start April of last year. I got nothing. You get all excited when you raise money, but that's an invitation now to start the business. I will tell you, in the past 18 months, this has completely exceeded my expectations. We're over 80,000 people. We have 500,000 hitting the site. We did more revenue in the first quarter of this year than we did all the year before. And I think largely because it's, there's no one doing it. But I'll tell you, people ask me, well, why do you think no one was doing it? It goes back to the comment Jay made. I don't want another $10 million business. Not that I'm doing 10 million in revenue, but I've decided that I'm the best studio apartment salesman in New York. What I mean by that is no one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to sell studio apartments. Everyone wants to sell the $10 million penthouse. But actually, someone's got to sell the studios. The thing is, when you're running a Penske, you want the Samsung deal for $5 million. When I was getting $25,000 from a factory in China, when you're in a business like this, there's not a lot of money in fitness and wellness compared to other industries. So when I get an advertising deal for 25 grand, that could be 25% of someone's entire budget. They need to be treated like it is the penthouse. And so if I wake up every day versus how are we going to, and that's why I say I'm lining up those studios all day long. And that is, whether it's sourcing, whether it's fitness, I don't walk away from that. I actually prefer that and that's, we're going to launch other businesses, but it's always with that premise of trying to find a small, underserved area that could be profitable, but it's never going to be the biggest. But we can make an impact there.
Y'all catch that wisdom in there? Y'all get that wisdom? That's good. So fast forward, Athletech News is launched. What was the official launch day? What do you equate it to?
It's hard because, in 2020, when everyone was watching the Ozarks, I just started sending out emails at night. What was I going to do? And so, I would say for 2 years I sent emails out, and really, it's been about 18 months that I've been full-time on this.
Yep.
And full-time means it gets about 50% of my undivided attention.
Who is a subscriber to Athletech News? I know I've sent it out, so if you're not, go on Athletech News and become a subscriber. It's free. And the reports and articles they put out daily are awesome. And there's a lot of great content in there that you're going to want to be privy to, even if you're not in the fitness space. I think there's a lot even from the franchise world, from the private sector world, the small business studio owner world, and they do a great job with that. My question, Eddie, now with Athletech News, well, can you even explain how you would, in the elevator pitch, what is Athletech News?
So I kind of use the example of whether I say Billboard or Bloomberg of fitness and wellness. It's for the executives running these companies. Now, you could be a single operator of a gym. You could be an executive at Crunch. You could be, and here's the challenge with this. It's extremely fragmented. I mean, you're an executive at Aura. You're an executive at Techno Gym. You're doing real estate development for Expo, and this person is trying to sell me a treadmill. What do they have in common? Absolutely nothing. Oh, and by the way, I'm responsible for the wellness at Hyatt. How do you create content that's going to hit all those people? That's very, very hard. Another reason why it's not a good business to be in. Sending free content to everyone in the audience is also why I appreciate that you all read it. That's not a good business either. So I can tell you why I say that later. But what we are realizing, though, is that, and this is what I learned from my days at Penske, the phone does not stop ringing. Okay, we'll call them back later too. Is this business has the ability to be BPC. And what I mean by that is business to business, pro, the enthusiast, and then consumer. So if you ask me my vision in 18 months, you guys are all getting Athletech. Right now the story is Planet Fitness raises prices 50%. Okay. That is meeting my expectations. But I also, best is the enemy of better. Every day we're progressively getting better, I really want to see Planet's raising the price 50%. How will that impact other gyms' pricing model? What will the attrition be? Okay. And then you have another article, how to train for your upcoming High Rocks event. Not that an executive won't read that, but I can win in the search game on the long tail there, get hundreds of thousands of people to the site, which may be consumers, maybe, so there's a three-prong approach here. And if you want to build a successful media company, especially in this space, you need to have all three channels going.
I've heard you say that fitness doesn't have a serious seat at the table. Why do you say that?
Because you're doing jumping jacks in the middle of the hallway down there, you know. Like,
why do you say that's not serious?
I don't know why, and I have said that, and we talked about this at NASDAQ, is I think there's a lot of stigmas attached to the industry. Before and after ads, Venice Beach, muscle heads, whatever it may be. There's actually, it's actually a very small industry, but there's a lot of deal flow happening. It's employing a lot of people. It's critical to people's lives. I don't turn CNBC on and see people, you know, there's political pundits talking about every time a politician goes to the bathroom. Is anyone talking about this industry? No. When I went to a fly-in with Ursa a few months ago, 100 other people were there trying to, you know, come up with, sell these, and you're not talking to the politicians, you're talking to a 22-year-old that just graduated from Georgetown, whose aspirations of being a senator. I'm pitching him on why we need the FIT Act. That will never happen. But what I'm saying is it's not, I just don't think, you look at most of private equity firms or venture capital firms, very little deal flow in this. I just think for the amount of people employed, how come during the pandemic this was not considered an essential business? How is this not an essential business? That's crazy. You know why? I mean, we could go on, I have a lot of theories as to why, but I just think that there needs to be more talk around the business of fitness and wellness, less talk around the passion. Like, and that's, I may come across as a very hard-hitting New Yorker here, but I'm tired of, I'm so passionate about this. I want to get people off the couch. Put them back on the couch. You're going to be on the couch with them unemployed. Unless you can make money doing that, there is no business in that. A lot of passionate people. That's not a business. You can't monetize passion. I'm not saying don't be passionate about what you're doing. Actually, I think that's very bad advice when people say follow your passions. And I'm not the first one to say that. Usually it's an accountant that says that to you. It's like, is he very passionate about being a CPA? So I don't know why, but I think that when I speak to the funds or the analysts, there's no data. Can you help us get data? Like, people want to do deals in this industry. Just no one's talking about it. Why did you not put this on the wire? No one picks up these stories. No one's writing about it. We're creating the community where we're starting to have those serious business conversations.
This is why I'm intrigued. For this conversation, why I'm intrigued. Because I'm a person of passion. I want to talk to people like this. Why? Because they control the narrative. They control the narrative. He said he got 80,000 people. He's talking to all the people at these places in New York City. I'm like, I believe in passion. I believe in purpose. I think it sells. I love doing jumping jacks and squats and doing what we just did all day. I'll do it all day. But if
I'm not knocking the jumping jacks. I just saw it on Instagram.
But I want to talk with people like this because I also understand how influential he is in the industry and what he does in his business and his publication, because PR, media, and marketing, again, is going to be reaching millions of people. So if you have a program, product, or service, like, you could be passionate and love it, but if you never even figure out how to crack the code, someone's going to do it. And I'm intrigued by what an Athletech News is doing and how guys like this think, because they think different than I think. They think different.
Think about this. 3 years ago, you think I was very passionate? You think I came out of my mother's womb and said I want to go to spend half my life in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and be known as a sourcing guy? But the more it started to work, the more people said, Eddie, can you go on CNBC and talk about port congestion and how that's going to affect holiday sales? You bet I will. And again, it's not what you know, it's what people think you know. Like, I really know, like, when they're going to let the containers come through Long Beach. Anyway, the point is, when people start asking you that and you start talking about it, you start liking it more and more and more and more. A guy said to me at breakfast yesterday, you're the mayor of the fitness industry. Mayor what? But it's perception, right? And then perception becomes reality, and reality becomes whatever. So I am enjoying this. Now I go home, I put on the Catalyst suit, my Normatec's coming, I'm gonna sleep on my 8 sleep. On this side it'll be hot, on this side it'll be cold. I got the power plate I'm doing push-ups on, I got the gummy creatine. Oh, should I wear Viore or should I wear the Armani? I don't know. but the point is, now it's all now I'm becoming passionate. But the more you become good at something, the more passionate you become at it, I believe.
So as an outsider coming into the field, understanding business, and the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of trends, you've talked to a lot of people. I'm curious on your views now in fitness. If you were starting a solo studio or a franchise, what are some of the things that you'd make sure that that solopreneur or entrepreneur would put into that fitness business? What are the different pillars? What would be the different aspects that you would include, knowing what you know now and even what you use to help your body, mind, and soul?
That's a tough question. Are you asking what I would invest in, or what advice would I give to someone that is investing into the business?
What would you invest in?
Nothing.
Then what would you?
Okay, what I would invest in right now, I'd like to open, if Expo would give me 5 Club Pilates, I'll take the license tomorrow. If you gave me 3 crunches, although I need 3 million a crunch, it's 10 million, I'd open a crunch tomorrow. What I would not do is wood throwing, trampolining, sound baths for adults. Not that there's not money in that, but I don't like the fads. I like things that I know. Yoga, whether it's 6 in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, you can fill those classes up. Boxing's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to sell. So what I think a lot about, so I also got to answer the question. We got to start back. The question is, what is the goal that I'm trying to do when I open this? Okay? Is the goal, do I want to start and have 2 or 3 locations, make a good living, control this? Is my goal that I want to now franchise 500 of them, flip them to private equity? Is the goal that my ego needs to be that it has to be my brand? Or could I tap into someone else that's built a successful brand and franchise that? The older I get, I wish I owned 10 Jiffy Lubes. Like the richest guys I know got parking garages. Now I don't think that's like a very sexy business to be in, but it's pretty stable. The cars go in, the cars go out. The guy doesn't show up to park the car. That's your biggest grievance. Every day I have to write news, whether or not you guys pay or ever pay. The press is always going. I like, I'm intrigued by, I'd probably not open something in New York. I think New York's a terrible market. I'd probably go to Nashville or Charlotte, because if you can win there, you can win in New York. If you make it in New York, it doesn't mean you can make it anywhere else. And the other mistake is, and I don't know how to, we talk a lot about this, how do you scale culture? So for example, a lot of these businesses started, the founders, look at Todd's enthusiasm. Okay, he could have me doing jumping jacks right here if he probably could. But the question is, when he opens up Todd Jumping Jacks in Toledo, Ohio, he's not there teaching. How do I know that the operator and the manager and the people are going to have the same enthusiasm that he has in that quote-unquote New York City location? That is hard to do. And so, one of the things that I see with a lot of these businesses is they're started for the wrong reasons. I'm going off script here. Is the first question is, when someone comes to me, oh, could you invest? What is your goal? My goal is to sell. I said, that's a bad goal. Because again, when things get hard, you're not probably very passionate about this idea, you're out. There's no CEOs anymore, they're all chief raising officers. All they do is raise money to blow it, and I don't believe in businesses like that. I like to make payroll because I know I have positive cash flow, and I'm employing people because it's making money. I'll tell you an area that I would probably be very interested in is wellness. I think that whether it's the sweat houses or the pauses or the remedy places, or some of those are corporate owned, some of those are franchises, I think there is a massive opportunity in that space. People are going to be investing more and more, meaning the consumers, in that. And I don't think it's saturated yet, but it's getting very close to being saturated. But I like that as a modality.
And when you say wellness, what do you define wellness as?
Hot, cold, IV drips. There's probably going to be, there's a lot of stuff around integrated medicine. So I see this guy, Dr. Lippman.
That's correct.
Charges $15,000 a year. I don't pay that, but that's off the record. $15,000 a year. I had this woman come to my house. She drew blood. She took so much blood. I don't know. Maybe they're donating it to charity or something. I don't know. But this genetic test, that genetic test. Turns out my MP(a) is so high that no matter what I eat, my cholesterol's never going to go down. My great grandfather is susceptible to this disease. I need to eat this type of rice instead of that type. All this nonsense. But anyway, how do you democratize that? And I like that, you know, Equinox is partnering with Function, Lifetime's got this Mayora, whatever. Even drawing a blank here. I didn't take my my pills this morning from memory. I can give you inside trackers, partnering. Like there's a lot more of this. So how do you democratize this? You know, how do you get that type of integrated approach to medicine? And I think we're gonna see that infiltrate. Maybe that's the wrong word. Become more. We talk about this holistic health approach.
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Yep. So you like that wellness side?
I do like that wellness side a lot. I like existing places leaning into it. I like places that are starting to address it. But look, Todd, here's the problem. There's two competing headlines right now in the industry. There's one headline, there's more locations to work out at. There's more education on wellness, fitness, mental health. There is more tchotchkes and gadgets and wearables and stuff that we could ever imagine. We're more tired, we're more depressed, we're more burnt out, we're more obese. So what's going on here? What's going on is, and you gotta really look at the credit card data to validate this, but the person that goes to Equinox is going to Stretch Lab, is doing the cold plunge, is wearing the Whoop and the Aura and the Viore and has the Catalyst and this. It's not more people are doing things, it's the same people are doing more. And instead of going to the Soho House and get a Bellini on Sunday, you're going to a sound bath with your girlfriend and then having a green juice after. And everyone's trying to sell these same people. It's not really that now you could look at the data, more people are working out, more people are spending more time, so we're going up. But it's not this massive change. Doritos is still a better business than being in spin. What do you want me to tell you?
So let me ask you this. Money versus passion.
I'm passionate about money.
So would you go into a business if you weren't passionate about it, but you knew you would make money?
The answer is no, and I'm sitting here right now. And what do I mean by that? I probably made a lot of mistakes in my life. I went to NYU, every one of my friends is sitting in Greenwich right now at the country club with their house or whatever, and I'm here running around trying to get people to buy 12 t-shirts on my ActiveSource platform. So I met with this rabbi. I am Jewish, but it's not a religious type of thing. We talked about core values, these 20, 30 things on it. It's actually a really good exercise. All the coaches, like if I could find this thing, I'll give it to you. It's a great, great exercise. And one of them I said is wealthy. He goes, no. I go, what do you mean? If you were only concerned about wealth, Eddie, you would have done a lot of things differently in your life. You could have went to a hedge fund, private equity, real estate. You are more interested in the build, the innovation, the creativity. I love the fact that there's 100,000 people paying $500 a year or so for Sourcing Journal. I'm not even there. My brother's still working there. 30 people are employed there. It's bought by one of the largest media companies in the world and has a chance to survive even when I'm dead. No one's going to really care when I'm dead. No one even cares now. But the point is, that's exciting to me. The fact that out of nowhere I have this idea that 500,000 people hit that site, it's more gratifying than me buying the Nvidia stock and going up 50% and me getting 1% of the funds thing. Okay, there's a lot of rich people out there. So I don't think I would be passionate about poverty, but I don't think I'd be passionate just in the practice of making money.
You say you work with a coach.
Yeah. Several people are working on this headline.
I want to talk to that coach. I want to talk to your coach and get in the mind of Eddie Hertzman. Talk about why you work with a coach and what working with a coach does for you.
First of all, I'm a big believer that if you're a pencil, right, you don't want to take the lead out, but you always want to be sharpened. And I don't care, the wealthiest people in the world, the greatest athletes in the world, why do they all have coaches? The reality is what I've learned is, and none of this is like new ideas, right? All you could really control at the end of the day is how you react to people. And I think I'm always looking for, when this happens, then I'll be at peace. Or when this happens, then I'll. And what I realize is everything, we're always going to have, there's no well-run company. There's just less badly run companies. There's no one that hires 100% correct. So you're always going to deal with people, problems. You're always going to have cash flow issues. Right now, maybe I got 300,000 in receivables and 200,000 on the payroll. Next year, it could be 2 million and 30. It could be 20 million. Oh my God, I just bought this company. I'm $1 billion underwater. What do I do? So it's how do you practice in those situations? Where he's really been very helpful. I'll give you like an actual example. I had someone on my team, or have someone on my team. I'll say to them, she don't have grit. She's not a hustler. She don't work long enough. Eddie, I don't know how we quantify grit. What are you going to tell you? You don't have grit? Then you're going to argue about what the definition of grit is. Someone on my team said to me yesterday, she goes, I don't make mistakes, Eddie, I make errors. I said, I'm unclear what the difference is. I think that was a mistake. And you know, I don't even understand, what does that even mean? But what he said to me is, Eddie, what we can focus on is the process. The process, I can't make, Todd, please, you got this new, please advertise. I can't force you to sign the check. What I can control is, Todd, can we have a meeting? Todd, what is your goals? Can I make the best deck? Can I follow up? Can I do what? I can control all of that. So the expectation is, if I want you to reach out to 50 people a week, are you doing that? Are you putting the best ideas in front? Are you working with the editor? Like, the process I can judge. So when you take all the emotion out and we focus on the process, then it becomes very black and white. Versus me having these arbitrary comments, oh, you got fired on Thursday, I hired you on a Friday, I didn't even check your references, you're lucky to have a job, and you're taking phone calls from the car at 2 o'clock with your dog while you're hiking, which he's doing. But do I need to go there? That's a strategy. People do manage like that, but is that the strategy I need to do? Because if you focus on the process, either she's going to be successful, and we could manage that, or not. And so when I think about it, it's like even golf. I got a good swing. Okay, you check it out on Instagram. It looks like I could be on the tour. The problem is I don't score like I'm on the tour, and that bothers me. And my brother, tiny little guy, hits the ball 280 down the middle, is a scratch golfer. Never took a lesson. I go every weekend, 2 hours, practice. I got 3 golf coaches. First of all, I got a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a coach. I got someone for every ailment in my body, and it's still messed up. But anyway, so we start talking about the process, what we can control in the golf game, what we can't control in the golf game, and I will tell you, I got down to low 80s this year. Not that my swing has changed, it's how I approach the golf course. And not that this guy's a sports psychologist, but he was actually a professional tennis player. So we talked a lot about that. There's a lot of things about him that really resonated with me. But even how I think about golf, you hit the ball out of bounds, you're in the rough, you get upset. If I just chip it out to 150, I know 9 out of 10 times I'm going to hit the green, I'm going to put it on, I'm going to walk away with a bogey. Okay. Instead of getting worked, I can't control it anymore. Like, what can I control from that point on? And I think that's a lot of things. You could apply that to business. You could apply that to sports. He writes all my notes when I want to break up with women. He makes it very succinct.
Eddie, if you were to give wisdom to coaches, life coaches, trainers that are in the room, what are 2 or 3 things that you appreciate from your coach, one of your coaches, that you would say, this is what I really appreciate about him or her? What are 1, 2, or 3 things that you would share for our coaches to get wisdom from that you receive, that you really appreciate, and you've shared to that person, I really appreciate and respect the way you do this?
I am not a transactional person at all. I cannot stand people. Your 45 minutes is up, goodbye. I'm like, goodbye to you. So he called me today, about 2 hours ago. Eddie, I got your email. You got a few minutes to talk? I said, I don't, but he is not, I don't feel that he's checking the clock. I feel that he's invested. So I'll tell you how I actually decided to sign up with him. I met him at a pivotal point in my life. I had to make a decision whether I was going to leave Penske or not leave Penske. He's out here in California. Just come and meet with me. So he goes, I want you to write the script that you're going to say to Jay and send it to me. I go, I want to be very clear, James. Like, I don't necessarily know we're going to work together. I know that. But I'm committed to getting you through this point in your life. Okay, that's very nice. I said in the script, he calls me back, this is terrible. You're not going to say any of this stuff. There's only 3 things you're going to talk to Jay about. 1, my life, my team's life, my business is better off because I did this deal with you. 2, I care about our personal and professional relationship. And 3, we have a same goal, that Sourcing Journal continues to flourish in the future. At any given time between now and you leaving or the future, you're not complaining, you're not negotiating, you're not asking this person's in. 1, 2, and 3. That is it. And I'll tell you, he worked on it, we workshopped it. I gave that whole little spiel to Jay. Why? Because he put a lot of time and thought in it. But we had the samurai approach. I may be dead. And I knew this guy spent all this time before he even got $1. And it showed me he's committed to the outcome more than he's committed to his passion. But I know that that's the type of person I like. And so I feel that today, when you get a sense that someone is checking the clock or swiping the card, it doesn't feel genuine. Now, it's hard to scale that, but I think that's very important in business. To me, you know, I'm speaking at a technology thing tomorrow. Technology to me is not an advantage. That's table stakes. The biggest advantage we have today in business is people. I pick up the phone. Hey, Todd, I want to let you know you uploaded this thing, and I don't think it looked. People get confused when I call them on the phone. I said, wait, we don't do phones? What do you, I can't call you? You'd be amazed. What is the point of differentiation? You talk about coaching. I like the box. I live on 76 and 2nd. I used to go to Church Street, a famous boxing gym. The guy got left or fired. I don't know. Then he went to Bout. That didn't last very long. Then he went to hit the deck. I go all the way down to the Seaport. If you're not familiar with New York, that's like me taking a boxing class in Long Beach. It's not convenient. Why do I go all the way down 45 minutes each way? Are the mitts any different? Are the gloves any different? The 45 dumbbell like 80 pounds there? The truth is, he's not even a good coach. I go for him. I go for him. I commute 45 minutes each way. You don't think there's a boxing coach on the Upper East Side? Power of people.
When you say he's not a good coach,
well, he's on his phone talking to his daughter half the time, but I feel bad for the guy. What I'm saying, he's not the
why,
best.
there must be something you like about him.
It's all, I don't know. I'm committed to this cause.
Yep.
I like the other people that are in the gym too. And
so, what are 2 or 3 things that you're working on personally right now that you, with your coach, say, I want to get better at this?
I'm not a very present person at all.
Present?
Present. Yeah. I have about 9 bottles of Dom in my house. And I say, every year someone sends it to me for the holidays, I say, when something great happens, I'll open it. I'm going to die with these bottles of Dom in my house because I don't think anything is great. When I sold my business, well, that wasn't good enough because I got to get the earn-out check. When I got the earn-out check, well, that should be a celebratory moment. No, I got to get the second one. I got the second one. My girlfriend at the time, no, I'm not happy. Why not? There's no more earn-out checks. Now we need to figure out the next thing. I bought the house. I thought that would be the moment. Oh, it's 2 bedrooms. Maybe when I get 3 bedrooms. When I raised the money, whoa, that's nothing to celebrate. Now I have the pressure. The problem is, that's a bad way to live your life. It's a bad way to live your life. And what I'm starting to realize is, A, no one about really me or anybody. Nothing's that serious. But I think what I'm starting to appreciate a little bit more is how do you want to do 10 million in business, okay? There's a wish and there's a goal. And it's a very different way how you look at something. My trigger was, could I do $500,000 the first year? I did it. That was my go forward. I said to the coach, this is embarrassing. I used to personally make more money than this. It was wrong. That was the goal you set on the path to 10 million. If you do, now what's the goal? 2 million. You hit the 2 million. That's the goal. Jeff Bezos didn't start a $1 trillion company selling books in a garage. So again, I think it's all about expectation and celebrating those moments and starting to really, really understand that. The other thing we talk a lot about, leaky time, leaky energy, money.
Yep.
Because there's a good expression I like, what got me here won't get me there.
That's right.
So you got to, and again, if a lot of people, they don't get to where they want to go because they actually don't know where they want to go. So my brother, a couple weeks ago, we're in the car, he goes, how's your business going? He wants me to hire him. I said, Eric, I'm going to give you a good analogy. We've been in the car for an hour. What does the GPS say? 55 minutes. I'm about to pee in the bottle. I'm very aggravated. I want to be home. However, I know that we're going the right way. I feel I'm with good people and we're going the right way. I don't want it to take 2 hours, or we may have to take a detour so I can use the bathroom, but I know every day I wake up, I'm going the right way. The other thing I knew as we talked a lot about, is staying at Sourcing Journal guaranteed me that I wouldn't have the success I wanted to have. Leaving does not guarantee me that I have the success. It just gives me the opportunity to potentially have this success. And we talk a lot about aligning actions, words with actions. A lot of people say something, but they do something very different. I want to get married and have kids. You went out with 4 women last week, Eddie. That's not the behavior of someone that wants to get married. You're telling me, he said something to me actually recently that really, again, to me the thing about coaching, it is like dating. It's how you resonate with your client. Same thing with personal training. Like, I resonate with Lee. That's why I go down there. So I was complaining to him about time. Every single night I sit in my chair at 2 o'clock in the morning, I work. I also have a team in Malaysia. So every night in the chair at 2 o'clock, I have no more hours. My new business, I'm gonna start selling time. If I want to sell people. Actually, but we talk about this. How do you get back time? You can't make more, so you gotta remove things from your plate. So he says something to me. If I said to you right now, you could invest $75,000 to make $1 million next year, would you do it? I go, of course. Why would I not do that? I'll buy the stock tomorrow. No, you won't. What do you mean? I'll call the broker. Because you're not. I go, what do you mean? You're telling me that you're spending 10, 20 hours a week to make $100,000 in consulting. Why? Because you want this car, you want this, you want this. Take the $100,000, put it in a stock called Eddie Hertzman, give up all this other stuff, and just stay focused on what you want to do, because you're very good at setting goals, you're not very good at sacrificing. And what you're telling me is these 2 businesses have the opportunity in 12 to 18 to 24 months to yield you this. This consulting job has no long-term out, but you're not, you're so good at it. You left a job, you raised the money, you do this. A little bit of you, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of like, you don't know how to say no. We're learning how to say no. It's a very difficult world to actually, no. Oh, I want you to be on the board. No. But why not? Maybe it's an opportunity. No, Eddie, you have these 2 opportunities right here. You don't need any more opportunities. Oh, do you want to take on this project? Well, how much? No. What do you mean no? I'm not independently wealthy. I want the money. It's distracting you from this. And so we talk a lot about that. And we talk about a lot of things, but some can't be discussed.
That's good. That's good. Let me ask you this question. What question am I not asking you that you wish I would?
You could ask me anything. I mean, ask no questions, hear no lies is a great, I would open that up. I mean, is there something you want to ask me? I mean, we talked a lot about, I said to Todd before this, look, I could pontificate and tell you, about the gym industry and the pricing and the modalities that are working and how I think my thoughts on mental health. I don't know if that's really going to help anyone in the room. The reality is yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to know what people want to know.
In a moment, I'm going to take a few questions. I hope what you hear with Eddie, and you can think deeply, like I've known him since January, I think, man, I like to get in this guy's head because he thinks differently than I do. He thinks differently. I like being around people who think differently, not always the same exact way, because you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot if you get the wisdom from someone who is operating at a level right now extremely high, thinking differently, and trying to merge that of like, okay, how do you take what he's saying and marry to what your beliefs are on that? Because I look at Eddie and what he's done with his company, it's like, man, he's doing some really big things in not a lot of time, and the impact that he wants to create. I'll have a final question. I'm going to open it up. Eddie, we've talked about this in our conversations on the phone. I'm a man of impact, and I love to create legacy or work toward that. Some people don't like that. They want to live just for the right now. What is your relationship with impact or legacy? Do you live for, because you said earlier on, you don't care when you die, they won't remember you. Do you live for, I just want to create my life now? Or do you say, hey, in 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years, I want to be known for X?
Now, I think that's a very good question. I actually think I'm too obsessed with the legacy.
Interesting.
And so, I already got 3 books that I want to write. How to lose friends and aggravate people. That's going to be the first one that comes out.
Wait, what was it?
How to lose friends and aggravate people. That's a bestseller.
Kelly, mark that tape.
Do not steal it. I want to do the art of the spiel. I don't know if that's going to resonate with everyone right now, but I envision like a biopic of my life. I'm talking to Jake about playing me. It's under, unclear if he's going to take on the role, but I think about this stuff. Now, the reason why I say no one cares is I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed about what everyone thinks. I'm reading Steve Jobs' book. This is probably 10 or 15 years, 20 years, whatever. I had an aha moment. I don't want to live this guy's story. I want someone one day to be reading my story and saying, hey, I want to be like him. And so I think that the challenge is, in 50 years, are we going to... We only envision like life from our perspective, right? Apple's still going on without Steve Jobs. Mozart, I don't know. I mean, we still use his name, but the reality is, I think there's got to be some balance between the present and building a legacy. I think, also, what is a legacy? So, for example, this is the rabbi says to me. He goes, because he worked with Adam Newman. He goes, Eddie, if I could give you all of Adam Newman's money, do you want it? Because he's a disgrace. There's films being made about him, how he's a crazy guy. He's got a lot of money. Is that what you want your legacy to be? I said, I don't think so. But if someone could give me a few $100 million right now and I could go surf on the beach and tell people I'm going to change the world, that doesn't sound like a bad option, but I don't think I want to be this. I get upset if tomorrow Todd calls me and says, Eddie, you did a bad job. This was not very enjoyable and you offended someone in the room. I'm going to feel terrible. Honestly, I'll have to call the coach, another $3,000. and he says to me, Eddie, can I ask you a question? Would you like to have the success of Elon Musk? I go, of course. Half the world hates him at any given time. You can't handle rejection. You are not going to be able to have the success you want and make everyone happy. You're not going to make every employee happy, every this happy, every that happy. Break up with her, fire her, I'll see you next Tuesday. And I'm making some jokes, but there's a lot there that I myself want to get better at. And because I feel like the reason I have the coach and the golf coach, I've gotten to a level that I'm very appreciative. Most people from the outside would be very blessed. I'm very blessed, but I'm not a very happy person. And I'm not looking for condolences, but I'm not, if you ask me tomorrow, what do I more than, I want peace. I wake up every day, I put the buzzer on 10 seconds, fourth quarter, 10 seconds down by 3. Why am I doing that to myself? That's what I feel like at any given time. We could create, that's the beauty that we talk about with the coach. You could create any life you want. And the mistake people make, this is about $35,000 in wisdom, so I'll just give it to you for free. He says to me, because we talk a lot about parents, right? They have a profound impact on how we develop. He goes, a daughter goes to a mother and says, Mom, why do you cut the end off the pot roast? Well, honey, that's how Grandma does it. My mother does it. So they go to Grandma. Grandma, why do you cut the ends off the pot roast? Darling, that's how my mother did it. Your great-grandmother cut the ends off the pot roast. I don't know, maybe it's the juices, maybe the way it cooks, I don't know. They go to great-grandma. For the purpose of the story, she's alive. And they go to great-grandma. Why do you cut the end off the pot roast? Honey, when we were little kids, our ovens were smaller. We couldn't fit it in there. We cut it off to fit it in the oven. People generations later are doing things with no practical application. When my father says, you're an idiot, get a job, I'm like, Dad, you understand. If I do what you do, and I adjust for inflation, you have a pension, I don't have a pension. You have a deferred comp, I don't have deferred comp. I live my entire life and have half of what you have because the game has changed. You're cutting the ends off the pot roast. I got a bigger oven.
Well, I want to say thank you to Eddie because as I've gotten to know Eddie, what I see inside of him is a great soul. And I think sometimes he comes off as a strong New York dude. I like that. I was like, that's my guy back in January because I resonate with that being from Jersey. And as I've gotten to know Eddie and I see what he's doing with Athletech News, Mike, what he's doing daily, what I read, and the team that he's created is some really awesome content. When I pick his brain, I hear wisdom. I hear a soul speaking on the wisdom, and I love to learn that. And I wanted to share Eddie with you today so that you can think outside the box. But he probably challenged you differently than what you've heard from myself or anyone in the room on how he thinks. When you surround yourself with other people and you have people that think differently than you can learn a lot. If you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things from that and you apply it, it could be a game changer in your life. Follow Athletech News and what Eddie's doing. He's part of our family here, and I'm really, really grateful that he's decided to come over to the Impact Summit today and share with us. So Eddie, thank you so much for everything, man.
Wow. Oh, wow. Eddie Hertzman, what an amazing job that Eddie just shared in that interview up in Los Angeles. And I got to tell you, I went into that interview nervous. Eddie Hertzman made me nervous because he is definitely against the grain when it comes to the many different types of keynoters that I had. And we had some amazing keynotes, but I knew Eddie. And Eddie is full of knowledge and intellect and wisdom. And Athletech News, since I've known of them in January, has brought the heat in so many different realms within health and fitness and inside of the industry. And I didn't know how the audience would take Eddie. And I got to tell you, they loved him. They loved how different it was. He brought an edge that was different because when you listen to the wisdom, and as that interview went on and on, what I detected is, man, this guy's got a great soul, a great spirit, and he truly wants to make change. And he's not just this big, rough, tough business guy that just wants to make money. It wasn't about that. It was about the passion to change people's health, fitness, and mindset on that. And Eddie spoke. The longer and longer it went on, I was like, man, he is really, really something else. And the feedback from the audience was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it as much as our audience enjoyed it. And I want to thank Eddie and his team for coming out to Los Angeles and the Impact Summit. I love what Athletech News is doing. So many great things on that. And hey, if you're interested and you want to learn more, as I mentioned before the show started, my team has been putting our entire Impact Summit together. Now, you don't get the socials, you don't get all the handshakes. There's nothing like being in the room. I always say that, be in the room. But if you couldn't be in the room for the Impact Summit live, we are going to provide a short window of time where you can get all of the presentations virtually here in the month of August coming up. Tune in. It should be launching this week here, late July, early August. It's going to be launching as soon as it is. I'll announce it on our social media. So take a peel over there, take a look, and get the virtual summit. And you can go at your own pace. You'll have access to that if you would like to get the virtual summit all for you to be listening at your leisure. You'll be able to do that as well. So keep your eyes peeled. Lastly, can you please share today's episode? I always love when you tag me on Instagram stories. I see all of them. I do my best to repost them as well. Take a picture wherever you are right now. Just take a picture, snapshot on your phone, whether you're working out, you're on the plane, on the bus, whatever you're doing. Take a picture right now, share it on your IG stories. Make sure you tag me and then tag Eddie Hertzman and Athletech News. Athletech News. I'll put them in the show notes so you can spell that correctly. But Eddie Hertzman and Athletech News, thank you, thank you, thank you for the great job today. My friends, I want to remind you as we go into the dog days of summer, August is approaching. Mellow yellow time, make sure you get it. I'm going to be spending some time here in Whitefish, Montana, even though I got a book signing on July 30th. I want to make sure that we get some mellow yellow time. You honor your body, your mind, and your soul, and you can really get revived. Don't forget, I'm going to be in multiple cities coming up here in August. We've got fitness conferences, not only at Perform Better coming up here August 5th and 6th. Perform Better, man, the second, third, it Perform Better Los Angeles. We've got CanFit Pro, the 9th and 10th, Toronto, Canada, the 9th and 10th at CanFit Pro. And then Perform Better again, Providence, Rhode Island, August 23rd and 24th. August 23rd and 24th, Providence, Rhode Island. And then I'll be down in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. area at the end of the month. So a lot of travel coming up, but I'm getting my mellow yellow time here in Whitefish this week. I'm so excited. Thank you for all of the love, but make sure you honor yourself as well. And if you're going to be in an area where I'm coming, please come out to the book signing in the next 3 months. We have a lot of great things going on around the True Strength book. If you have not yet picked it up, please pick it up, read it, pass it on to someone or gift it to someone. We still have people buying 20, 30 copies, literally just fulfilled an order a couple days ago for a book, 30 books. Get your books, go to Amazon.com and then gift it out. Guys, have an amazing week. Share the great news and go out there and be special today. Until next time, remember, you got to train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact. Hey guys, one more thing. I just got news, and this news is really special. Has nothing to do with the Impact Summit, has nothing to do with Eddie Hertzman or anything we just talked about. But Athletech News just recently announced their top final 50 executives for the Athletech News Power Players. And I was honored with one of the 50 top executives for the Athletech News Power Players. And that all came in. I learned of it in May of 2024 here before all of this went down, and the top 50 were just announced. And I'm really, really honored to be recognized amongst my peers. Anytime my peers and colleagues vote on that, it's very, very special. And I want to thank Athletech News for that. Again, mutually exclusive from the Impact Summit. I just have found Athletech News has come onto this scene like I've never seen in just about, 8 months here since I've known about them. And then back in May when I was nominated to be one of the top 50 power players in the fitness industry. And I want to give a hats off to Eddie Hertzman for not only coming to the Impact Summit, but his team back there have nominated 49 other quote power players in the health and fitness industry for the work that they did and they're doing round the clock. Literally, if you do not follow Athletech News, make sure you follow them. Just go to Athletech News. Again, I'll put all of the information into the show notes. You get that. But man, it's kind of ironic that the same week that his episode drops, I just received word that I'm one of the top 50 power players in the health and fitness executive industry here. So very, very honored. Thank you, Athletech News. Thank you for all of you. And there you have it. Go out there and have a great day and create impact, baby. Peace.